On the scene, on the story, News 9 starts now.
New here at 6:30, advocates, police, and concerned Oklahoma City neighbors turned out in the hundreds today for a forum on immigration. Organizers say the goal was to answer questions and ease fears among changing immigration policies. News 9's Grant Herms is on the story at U.S. Grant High School.
The parking lot, as you can see, is filled, and it's filled just like the auditorium inside with immigrants, both documented and undocumented, all worried about their future here in America. Inside the auditorium of U.S. Grant High School, an attentive crowd, listening, asking questions, worrying about what will happen to their place as immigrants in Oklahoma City.
I think the biggest fear is if I get detained and taken by immigration, what will happen to my children? My U.S. citizen children, what will happen to them?
The forum was put on by a new group, the Mexican Cultural and Humanitarian Association, which brought together lawyers, law enforcement, and even members from the Mexican consulate, all there to give advice and warning to immigrants in the crowd, like Mexican-American artist Carlos Tello.
It's the country of the opportunities, you know, and if you have some dreams and you can be involved on it, and you can have the process to get there.
The forum comes just days after a nationwide enforcement surge by immigration and customs agents, and after reports the president may enlist the National Guard to begin rounding up undocumented immigrants. Those reports stoking fears among students Jessica Moscote sees every day.
I know it's a little bit difficult right now to ease their concerns, but any way that I can receive information or provide them with resources, I just make sure I let them know.
The day ended with applause and a promise of hope for those who say they see dark days ahead. Now, those with more questions about immigration are encouraged to reach out to the groups that were here at the forum. The links to those groups are on our website at news9.com. On the scene on the story in southwest Oklahoma City, Grant Herms, News 9.
And new tonight, police say a 6-year-old was taken to the hospital to be checked out after he was hit by a car. This was the scene around 1:30 today near Northwest 32nd and Youngs. Police say the victim's injuries were minor, but the child was taken to the hospital as a precaution. A wanted man is behind bars tonight after a short chase in northwest Oklahoma City. Police say the suspect sped off when they spotted his car. Officers say he crashed out, then took off on foot. Police caught up with the suspect near Northwest 10th and Greenvale. His name has not been released. Now we're taking a live look from our Air Comfort Skycam network. It's feeling a little like spring across the metro today. But
yeah, it sure is there, Chris. As you see those afternoon clouds moving in, and then also a little bit of the colors. As you can see behind me, the afternoon or an evening sunset here from our Air Comfort Skycam network. And look at the afternoon highs. Chris has been saying it's been beautiful out there, as he did. Difficult to come into work today, that's for sure. 68 in Oklahoma City, some lower to middle 70s, and boy, we're going to see a lot more of this on the 9-day forecast. But first, we got to get rid of some storm chances as we head towards tomorrow. But here this evening, A-OK, temperatures in lower to middle 60s, a little bit of a southeast wind. That'll continue at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. So if you're out, maybe finding a patio, 59 or so, 55, 54 by 9 o'clock. So middle 50s to lower 50s by 11 o'clock, and some high level clouds with just a light southeast wind. We're going to be talking about some more rain chances and some more warm weather for February here coming up.
And continuing our coverage of an officer-involved shooting in Tulsa that left a rape suspect dead. Police say officers fired their weapons, killing David English after he approached with a knife. Investigators say English was wanted on several felony counts, including rape, kidnapping, and domestic assault. A woman who lived with English told police he tied her up with a rope, used butane to burn her legs, and raped her between Tuesday and Thursday this week.
Just doesn't seem like there was any fighting going on or anything like that. I don't know. That's what makes it seem so strange to me, because to me they were just out here together. I thought they was probably married. I didn't have any idea what the deal was.
A friend who saw the victim's injuries took her somewhere to get help. Doctors say she had burns, bruises, a puncture wound, and a cracked chest bone. Also out of Tulsa, a second mistrial for a former officer accused of murdering his daughter's boyfriend. Just like the first time, Shannon Kepler's second trial ended with a hung jury. Kepler is charged with shooting and killing Jeremy Lake in 2014. A status conference is scheduled for February 22nd, where the state and defense could start their trial process over for a third time. New developments in the murder of a Norman man back in 2008. According to court documents, Libby Cox and Bobby Perkins pleaded guilty in the death of Corey Bodley. Perkins pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, Cox for an accessory after the fact. Bodley's remains were discovered after a puppy brought a skull to a Noble home on Christmas Day. Police say he died from blunt force trauma. A third suspect, Thomas Willemth, was just charged earlier this month. And tracking crime, police are looking for a suspect who shot up a home in northwest Oklahoma City overnight. It happened just after 1. Investigators say someone shot a house near Britton and Broadway Extension. No one was hurt. Police say the suspect car may be a 2016 silver Chrysler. Investigators say a house fire this morning was sparked by a candle near Western and Britton. We're told it was left unattended, burning on a table by the bed. Everyone got out safely, but the flames caused $28,000 in damages to the home and 2 vans parked in the driveway. Right now, a driver is recovering after crashing his pickup truck into a strip mall near Hefner and Council last night. Police say the man had some sort of medical condition and crashed into North Haven Baptist Church around 10:15. The driver was treated at the scene. No one else was hurt. Developing right now, 2 Atoka County women, including a former medical technician, were arrested for recruiting a child to sell drugs. The investigation started after officers caught a 14-year-old selling pills at a school last month. The teen told police that Tacey Mixon and Stacy Bronkowski gave him the pills to sell.
The story was that they had basically employed him to get rid of the pills, and they were supposedly going to give him something of monetary value in return.
Both women turned themselves in but were released on their own personal recognizance days later. Meanwhile, the teen was sentenced to 6 months probation and 40 hours of community service. The city of Moore is warning residents about door-to-door solicitors. Officials say all solicitors are required to have a city-issued permit, and anyone representing the city will have a marked vehicle and carry a badge. If you're suspicious of anyone going door-to-door, call 793-5171. Around the nation, President Trump returned to a familiar role as campaigner-in-chief today, speaking at a rally in Florida. Kenneth Craig is in Melbourne, where huge crowds stretched as far as the eyes could see to welcome the president back to the state.
They stood under the hot Florida sun and they waited for hours. Thousands of President Donald Trump's supporters turned out for a campaign-style rally with the man they already voted into the White House. Gene Huber was first in line at 4 o'clock this morning.
He made all these promises to us, and he's doing every single promise that he's mentioned. And that's the one thing that I've always believed with President Trump. What he says is going to happen.
This is not the first time the president has rallied here at this airport. Thousands of his supporters also showed up in September in a county and state that helped him secure the presidency.
This is my 14th rally, and I've been to 3 Mike Pence rallies.
Wow. Why so many?
I just like to support Donald Trump.
The rally comes after a turbulent first month in office, which includes the halt of his immigration ban, the resignation of Michael Flynn, his national security advisor, and the withdrawal of his pick for labor secretary. Now, sources tell CBS News that the president's choice for Navy secretary, Philip Bilden, is on the verge of withdrawing his nomination.
I believe that in the past, as an individual, when Donald Trump has failed, he's managed to pull it together and make himself a success.
Across the street, hundreds of demonstrators protested against him. Supporters told us they were eager to hear more about the president's promise to create jobs, especially in the aerospace industry along Florida's Space Coast, the former home of NASA's shuttle program, in a county where many of those jobs have dried up. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Melbourne, Florida.
Up next, the talented local teen with dead-eye aim for the bullseye. It's this week's Red Dirt Diaries.
American Luxury and get